you are in the world. This is Cheryl Chapman, the wise roving reporter, saying good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are from Radio Works World. And I am absolutely delighted, if not ecstatic, to be interviewing the founder of the Radio Works World, Marina Nani. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hello.
Wow. I'm so humbled. I don't know what to say. I'm lost for words. But yes, I'm all in. Ask me any questions you think could help our listeners. And before we start stepping into 2017, I would like to say the most humble thank you to absolutely each and every one of our listeners who made it or didn't yet to our red carpet events. And of course, I would like to thank you for inspiring me to go next without asking permission from anyone and just going all in.
Exactly, yes. So, Marina, I wanted to ask you a few questions because I know the fabulous event that you put on at the BAFTAs last week, which was like, wow, wow, wow. And I know I've spoke to you since, and I know you've got something even more spectacular for next year already planned because your brain never stops. But I got the sense that quite a lot of people in the audience didn't really know who Marina Nani was, other than the fabulous woman stood in front of them that was sharing from the heart. And so I want to really start with, as you would say, the end in mind, because I know that that's what you believe in. So at this moment in time, Marina, please can you tell our listeners, or if they're watching us on this video, who is Marina Nani? Who are you right now, and what is it that you do to help other people, please?
I am the map maker, cartographer. So I went from where I was to where I didn't know I could be. And now I'm drawing the map and I'm sharing the map. I'm not teaching anything and I can't possibly teach anyone because you already know so much. It's overwhelming. But all I want to do is to share because I truly, truly believe the secret of living your life with purpose is sharing the good news, which is you. In this case, is me. I'm the good news.
Yes, you're the goodest. That's brilliant. So you draw a map. Now, just so people kind of get you, because I've been around you now and I know, obviously you have an accent, so you're not from this country originally, but you live here. Where are you from originally?
I was born in Romania and I'm very proud because I learned that in life there is no such thing like free lunch and I carry that with me. So I'm very grateful I've been brought up in a country with lots of restrictions and I had the desire to be more because I didn't know there is more, but I knew I could be more. And I learned from where I'm coming from that you can't compete against somebody else. You could only compete against yourself. As a young student, I was always winning competitions, you name it. Everybody wanted me in their competition knowing that I'm going to win. Even I had no idea how I'm going to win. But I always did my best and I always tried to race against my own limitations and be, in a way, who I could be. Even sometimes it was very difficult for me to imagine what's next. And that was the biggest challenge I ever had. Each time I will accomplish a goal or I will reach a destination, I will feel lost. I will feel lost thinking what's next and not knowing what's next.
Interesting. So you're helping people to find out what's next for them then. Would that be fair? Because you've been there and you kind of led your life in this search for what's next after you'd completed something either perfectly or imperfectly. So you're helping them to get to the next place. Would that be a fair assumption?
Yes, it is in many, many ways all about growing into the person who can deliver your life purpose. I know most people think life is what it is, but I believe that life is what you make of it.
Yeah. And so you came from Romania and you came to this country. When did you come to this country? And can you just describe for the listeners and the viewers what life was like when you first arrived here?
Well, it was amazing. Everything and everyone was very kind. And I learned that you don't need to think you are a human being and that's all to it. You have to discover that you are a humankind, the humankind, and what makes you kind is being kind with no reason. So I learned a lot from the locals during the last 3 decades since I came here. I had the chance to have my own lessons and also win my own limitations. And I'm very grateful for everybody who in one way or the other helped me either learn another lesson or win another battle.
And when you came here, you didn't come here straight from Romania. I think you were a diplomat, is that correct? And you'd been working around the world. Tell us about what happened before you came to the UK.
Well, I was involved in ecological projects. I had my own newspaper. It was an ecological newspaper, and I had my own radio show. And then I was working around the world, but my children were very, very young, and they were missing perhaps that place to call it home. Well, for me, it was very exciting, and I got to be with people. Once, actually, I've been at the same table with 8 kings. So
wow.
I wasn't ready to look up to them, but I was looking them into their eye, thinking, what are you about? So I always thought that being who you are is very important, because at the end of the day, all you have is yourself, and you can't be somebody else. And it doesn't matter you are with people who can teach you something or people who can help. You could never look down on anyone unless you want to lift them up. So at that point in my life, I realized that it's more important to have happy children than a career. So I decided to stay still and start from scratch. When I came back from South Pacific, I didn't know where to start. I was overqualified. That kind of situation where you are thinking, what I'm doing wrong. So then I realized that I could create a product that could help people like myself who they require to travel away from home with their family, because I was a widow and I had 3 young, beautiful children, and I wanted to be there for them and spent a lot of time with them rather than leaving them behind with somebody else. Not that I had anyone else to leave them behind with, but I wanted to spend time with my children because they mean everything to me. So this is why when I canceled my contract, I decided to create a base, a place where my children could call it home and grow from there. And it was very painful. At the time, I didn't know anyone. I didn't even speak the language. So I've been surrounded by their love, and we've always been a team. We grew together. Obviously, I was learning English from them because I had no other teacher at the time. So we used to sign, like Christmas time now, we used to sign our cards, Christmas cards, 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 = 1. And we've always been one. In a very simple way, we become who we want to be. We become one that loves everyone and one that is simply too small not to want to grow. So growing together with my children helped me be more tolerant and more hungry for knowledge and specialized knowledge, especially. So I will carry a dictionary with me everywhere. I had a goal to learn 10 words a day, which was a very high a very tall order at the time. But sometimes I would manage to learn 20 words. So I was very happy with that.
Yeah, you're definitely, someone that I've been, grateful and very humble to have been around for the last couple of years. And this last year really is when we've really connected more, I think. And just to get to know you and listen to what you've been through, because I think it's very easy for people to look at people who are successful and go, well, they were born with a silver spoon in their mouth, or it's all right for some. And you're very humble, Marina, because you don't often share some of the downsides of life. So thank you for sharing, with us today about, Romania and how you're grateful for the challenges that you had as a child when you were brought up. And also, yes, I can see that now. I can almost visualize a tiny Marina, not that you're very tall now, but, a tiny Marina, like, 10 or 12 being very determined. And I get that all the kids wanted you on their team. I can see why, because you're really hardworking and you're really determined. And what I love about you is that there is like, well, if you want this, then you just have to go out and get it. But the just going out and getting it, I think people just think, oh, well, that's okay for you. But you've had some shit in your life. I hope the viewers don't mind me just, putting that little word in there, because as you said, you brought up the children on your own. And that wasn't because your husband left you for somebody else. But you had a very sad loss, didn't you, with your husband? How old was your husband when he passed?
Well, I think he didn't even start living his life. My younger son was 1. I don't think he can remember him. And it was almost like not fair to tell the children that they lost their father and they're left with just a mom. So I had to become a father as well. So I don't know if I did a very good job, but I tried my very best. And if I had mistakes, it's not because I knew better. I always tried to be both. And many times I will go to kiss them while they were asleep because I didn't want them to be spoiled. And now I can tell them I love them and I can kiss them and they don't like it. But now my daughter is a mother herself now, and I'm sure I should be a better mother than I've been. I've been working far too hard, and I never had the holiday. So if it's something I miss looking back, is not having a holiday with my children ever, or a weekend. I've been always working really hard, waking very early, 5 o'clock, to make sure I get the motherly things before 8 o'clock in the morning, and then I will come back very late in the evening, and I will find a note in the kitchen: "Don't go to bed without eating." So that will be my younger son, Dario, who cooked dinner, and he will want to make sure I'm not going to bed hungry. So losing my husband was an opportunity for me to become a better mother. I couldn't be a father, of course, but I know in my heart that I always had him next to me, advising me. And actually, I know you are writing a book, a very exciting book for me personally, because his birthday was on the 1st of July. And since he passed away a few decades ago, on the 1st of July, something happens, something that I didn't plan, something that is not something I worked for it. I'm used to get only things I'm working for. But on the 1st of July, always something happens that is like a gift. It's like a gift that I didn't even wish for. So I know he's always been there. And I know where he is. He's smiling down on us, thinking that, yeah, we did a good job.
Yeah, you did. You did an incredible job. And I think there's a lot of moms, particularly single moms who do work really hard, and they're out there doing whatever they can for their children. And so I think that you were the best mom that you could be at the time. And that's all anybody ever asks, isn't it, really? So you had some bad times in your life, you know, everybody looks and goes, oh yes, everybody who's got everything never had any sad times. So I thank you for sharing that with us, because I know it's not something that you usually talk about. But I've met a couple of your children, and they are very loving boys. I've not met your daughter yet, and I'm sure she's loving too. I've seen your little granddaughter though; she looks cutie. So the boys, if I understand correctly, are looking after a business that you built up. Do you want to tell us about the business that you built up, you know, from scratch in the UK, please?
Yes. So when I decided to start traveling as a consultant and have a base for my children, I couldn't really have that base in my country, because there were some issues with my husband's family. They wanted to have my children. They were thinking in terms of we have to have them, without considering that as a mother you could never give away your children. You want to be there with them. It's not about how hard it is. It's all about, wow, I'm with my children. So I had to be away from my country for that reason, so I could enjoy my children and make sure they grow as the boy as nice gentlemen and as they are actually.
They are very nice gentlemen. Yes, you did a great job there.
And my daughter is a young lady, and it's been in a way a discovery journey. It's been in many ways about creating and delivering value for my children, for my clients. But when I realized that I'm not employable because I have too many qualifications and my CV was almost overwhelming, I didn't realize that having 3 children for somebody who employs you could be a hazard. I never been on benefit. I never even knew what benefit means. So I realized that I have to create my own place of work and create and deliver value without feeling that I'm, I don't know the word for it, but I'm a hazard for anyone. Because at times I felt that people feel I'm somehow going to either ask for a high pay or ask for benefits. So I wasn't in any of those places, the opposite. I was ready to contribute and do my best to create value and bring value to wherever I was hopefully working. So because while I was away, I had to travel with my children from hotel room to hotel room, I realized that is a big challenge for a parent. Leaving your children behind while you go to a meeting could be always in your mind thinking, what are they doing? So I decided to create an alternative for a home for business people who are traveling away from home and they don't have a place to leave their children behind. So I created the hotel alternative, and slowly but surely the demand grew. I never had, my biggest challenge was having enough stock for the demand. I know now it's very common knowledge and everybody does it, but over 2 decades ago wasn't something people could understand even. They will think it's something illegal of some sort. And I had to go through those red tapes situation, and I had to make sure that everybody is looked after. It was my passion to create a home and accommodate everyone's needs, so they will have their own front door and they could run even their business from home while with us, and they don't need to think, what is the chef going to cook for us? Maybe I'm allergic to something. So they could have a home where they're in control of their choices and their time, and they will have the privacy they need as a family. So at times we accommodated kings, princes and princesses, ordinary people with extraordinary lives. So it's been a very exciting journey in the sense that I had to understand the place better, because it was a new concept and it wasn't for me to benefit from. It was for the people like myself who had to travel away from home and come back. I never done any marketing, so I never had the budget for marketing. So I had to make sure I listen to our customers and that I listen to our repeat business clients, because without them we couldn't grow the business. And I'm very grateful to each and everyone, even to those who were not happy that we are perhaps we don't have a room service, so they had to cater for themselves. But now my son is he improved the business model. He is now providing, you name it, is whatever you need. If you need room service or maid service or whatever it is that you need is available. Even sometimes I'm thinking maybe it's a bit too much to offer them everything. They could feel overwhelmed. But yeah, so the original business model was a very simple one, where you got the keys to your own home away from home for 3 days, for a week, for 3 months. Even if you're relocating or looking for a new home, it was always there for you with everything you need, and without cutting corners when it comes to your diet or your standards of living. So I think is something that is very necessary in our lives, because business is very demanding, and to be competitive you have to travel, and to get the contract you need, the next contract, you really need a place to call it home. I don't think a hotel room will do. I traveled the world myself in the last 1,000 days, and I realized that if it's something I don't like, being away from home, is not being able to find a little apartment or a studio where I could call it home for the week or for the month while I'm in that country. So I really think that now a lot of agencies are creating this opportunity for business people and for holiday makers, and I think it's an amazing product. I'm still passionate about it, even I'm not part of it. But now, instead of creating a home for your family, I'm creating a home for your dreams.
Yes, that's brilliant. And I think that's really interesting to hear how that started, because I know that there are plenty of hotels carries on now. How many countries are you in at the moment? How many countries are the boys looking after?
Well, they recently changed the system. Is all, people from any country could place a reservation to any country they go. They just go to the website. I don't know how that works. And they book their home away from home. So I think there are 75. And they still have a portfolio in London, which they manage. And I think helping property owners to double their rental income and partnering with them is a brilliant idea. I think it's always good to know that your investment in bricks and mortar works.
Yeah, and what I love, Marina, is that, I mean, let's be upfront. That's one of the ways that you made your money, made your income. Created the life that you have, which allowed you to, travel, around the world, as well as, still working hard, of course. But there came a time, didn't there? You were sharing with me in the last few days that actually you were blessed to be in a position where you were able to retire at a very young age. So tell us about that, because a lot of people will be thinking, oh wow, great, I could retire at this age and still be young enough to enjoy the world. What happened to Marina when she retired?
That's a very good question. Well, I retired when I was 51 years old. because I achieved everything I set my mind to achieve. And I thought it's time to let my children have their own life. And I had nothing to do. I was very good at my to-do list. I will have a list of to-do things and I will do them very, very well. I was very good at that. But I never thought that once I'm done with doing, I am actually a human being and I don't have a to-do list. So it was a very dark moment in my life when even I had everything I always wanted and more. I had amazing children, to be very proud of them as a mother. And I had a place to call it home, a beautiful place by the River Thames. I realized that I have nothing. I used to take about 150 calls a day. And then suddenly the phone stopped ringing. Nobody needed me anymore. And my children were now as busy as I used to be. So we won't even have our weekly dinners. And that put me in a very dark place. I couldn't walk. I tried to leave the house and I dropped dead in front of the house. So I don't know what was wrong with me, but apparently your body is listening to your mind, and I had an empty mind. I didn't know what to do next. I had nothing left to myself because my life revolved around my children, my clients, my business. I never had a holiday. I never had a weekend. So I won't know what free time is or a time where you are not needed. So I was lying on the bed and my daughter came and asked me, what's wrong? What can you do to make it better? What can you do to make it better? So I didn't know what to do with myself, and I had no power left in me. I was perhaps exhausted, and I just felt that that's it. I done it. That's it. Now I can go. And then my daughter asked me, why don't you go travel? So I said, where? And she said, you know, people your age, they go traveling and they make new friends. And I said, I don't want to be one of these people go traveling just to make friends, you know. And she said, what do you want? I said, well, I want to go places I never imagined I could go to. I want to fly an airplane. I don't want to be in a coach flying with other people. I want to fly an airplane. And I want to meet total strangers, including myself. She looked at me and said, Mom, what you want is not possible. But must be something you could do. Must be something. Think about it. So actually, what happened next, it was just before Mother's Day. My son bought me a program to write a book. So usually on Mother's Day, they will buy me some kind of wonderful gift, you know, like a pair of sunglasses or a big bunch of flowers. So one year they even bought me a car. So actually since then they bought me another car, but I wasn't sure what they are giving me this time. They gave me a little piece of paper and I opened it. It was a program on how to write a book. So I was a bit upset and confused. I didn't know what they wanted me to do next because surely I couldn't write a book. I couldn't imagine that. And then they start, it was an online program, so you had to log in and listen to instructions. So they'll keep asking me, so how is your book going? How is your book writing going? I thought, oh, give me a break. But because they paid so much for the program, when I saw how much they paid, I got really upset because they could have put down the deposit for a little house somewhere, you know. So I said, because I didn't know anything outside bricks and mortar, that's all I knew. And I knew it really well. Even now I can buy and sell properties in my sleep. It's that easy for me. But anything outside that didn't make sense. So eventually I had to to write a book. And one day, the final part of the program was to present the book title. So I tried 6 times, but I couldn't complete the actual program because I couldn't find a book title that is good enough. So I put I wrote the book by hand, so I put it in a drawer and I said, that's it, it's not for me. So when they keep asking me what's happening with your book writing, I said, oh, don't ask me. So because I couldn't pass that stage where I had to find a good book title. I was too close, I think. I was really too involved in the content and the message, so I couldn't put the name on it. So anyway, on the 1st of July, as I said, miracles happens each year for me. I got a phone call and they were looking for my son. And it was a voice, very sweet voice, a young lady from Canada. And she said, I said, but can I help you in any way? And she said, well, he bought a book program and we were wondering what happened because we never heard back. So anyway, so I said that actually it was a gift and I wrote the book, but I got stuck because I couldn't find the book title. And she asked me, so what is the book about? And I said, it's the story of my business idea. And now I retired. And she asked me, so what is your business name? And I said, the Hotel Alternative. And she asked me what the Hotel Alternative does. And I said, is creating a home away from home for people who travel in business. And they have to be with their family while traveling. And she said, do you mean away from home? I said, yes. So that's your book title. So then she asked me again, what is the name of my business? And then she said, that's your subtitle. So this is how I finally got the book together. So yeah, it was very exciting to go into the unknown because I didn't know anything about it. And I gave up because I couldn't pass that stage where I had to accomplish that homework, that piece of homework. So the book was in a drawer for a couple of months, half a year actually, when they rang. And this lady, her name is Laurie Murphy. And wherever you are, Laurie, I want you to know how grateful I am and that since I met you, I pray for you every single day. And when I pray for my family, I pray for Laurie Murphy and a few other people I love dearly. And they completely helped me understand my life purpose.
So that's brilliant, Marina. And so now we know a little bit about Marina and how competitive she is. So she's got over the hurdle of writing the title for her book with Laurie's help. And you wrote it on something that you already knew, because I know that a lot of people say, oh, well, what would I write a book about? And you're like, well, how old are you? Have you had some life experiences? You know, and they're like, yeah. And you're like, well, then you've got a book inside you, at least one. So you wrote your book, and then it was a case of, well, who's going to buy your book? You know, because like anyone can write a book. We know that. But then you were like, well, how do I get the book out there? So what did you do to start to get the book out there to the people that it needed to reach, Marina?
Well, again, a brilliant question. I had no idea what I was doing. Absolutely no clue. I wrote that book, which was launched in Toronto in 2012. And hundreds of people stood there and encouraged me, and they were queuing to buy my book, but it wasn't for sale. Actually, the book, the way it was printed, it wasn't really a format, an A5, what we call it, for a paperback book. So it was, this is the first book.
Oh, fabulous.
As you can see, there is no author. They forgot to put that. So, but that didn't bother me at all. For me, it was the book. And what was challenging for me at the time was people asking me, are you on Facebook? Are you on Facebook? So I said, what's that? I didn't know what Facebook is in 2012. So somebody made a Facebook page for me, but because they couldn't see on the book my name, the author's name. They remember my first name, Marina, and they made me a Facebook page called Marina Away from Home, which was my book title. So I become my book title.
You become Marina Away from Home.
That's correct, yes. So then I realized another challenge that I had to overcome at the time was when people wanted me to autograph my book. So I had no clue what to do or what to say. I wasn't ready for that moment when people wanted to have my story and hold it in their arms and in their hands. And it was very difficult for me to understand why would they need that? What's wrong with them? So it's like, what can I write on a book that I wrote? So then I asked everyone to autograph the book for me, so I could learn to autograph a book. So those are the two challenges: the fact that I was given a new name, I became my book title, and I learned to autograph my own book. So of course, that was very, I don't know how to put into words. It was overwhelming, but I decided not to feel overwhelmed, not knowing what to do next, but to write another book, and then another one, and then another one. And I wrote a few. And then eventually I went I went back to London. I was invited to speak to in different countries. But back in 2012, after I launched my second or third book, I was coming back from North Carolina. And as I was driving to London from the airport, somebody mentioned that my mentor, Raymond Aron, who was my publisher, is going to speak in London at O2 or somewhere. So, of course, I didn't go home. I went straight there with my luggage in the back of the car. So I go there, and there were two, the event started already, so I couldn't find a place to buy the ticket, or I didn't know what to do next, because I never been to those big events. I didn't know they exist even. So apparently at the time, some high profile politicians were there. So the place was heavily guarded. So these two big guys came towards me, said, "Please go away." And I thought, I'm not hearing well. I said, "I want to go in. I want to listen to, my mentor is going to speak, so I want to listen." But what you have to, the other side of the story, or the coin, the other side of the coin, is that I was there because while I was writing those books and publishing them, and everybody was very happy to be with me because I was writing all these books, I wasn't happy with myself at all. I was completely lost. I didn't know what to do next. Okay, so I'm writing books, so what? So I asked my mentor, so what's next? I wrote a couple of books, so what do I do next? And he looked at me, and he looked away, like in a distance, like somebody was giving him a message or something. And he very kindly said, but very firm, said only one word. And he said, "Be." So I wasn't sure what he meant. And he left. So that's why when I came back from North Carolina, when I heard that he is going to speak in London, of course I went straight there because I wanted to understand what "be" means. So anyway, so these two guys were very big guys looking down on me. "You have to go away." And I said, I don't want to go away. I want to go in, and I want to listen. I want to pay for a ticket. But they were walking very firmly towards me to kick me out. Then what happened behind them, a big door, the door to the actual room where there were like 9,000-10,000 people, opened. a huge bolted door opened. And who comes out? Raymond Aron, my mentor. And he saw me and he said, Marina, I'm so happy you are here. Come with me. And he took me inside. I'm very grateful for him opening the door, for him being in my life altogether, but for him opening the door, that door that was guarded and bolted. And for him remembering my name. I didn't know he could remember my name. We didn't exchange any sentences between us. I only asked one question and he gave me an answer, which was one word. So I was just going. You know, sometimes people are hypnotized into something. And I felt that I'm dehypnotizing myself. I felt that what is happening now is so real. I never felt so real in my entire life. Well, all the time before I was doing things and getting results and going for the next goal. And this was something so vague, so uncertain. And yet I felt that for the very first time, I am myself. And I'm walking to something, I don't know what it is, but it's so real. Nothing ever has been so real. For our listeners who think I lost it, actually I can say I found it. I found it myself in that moment. And of course, next thing he asked me to speak on stage and I wasn't prepared for that. I had no idea what to say. I felt that I can't open my mouth or I can't say a word, but there were 10,000 people there waiting for me to say something. So eventually I shared my story, and everything else is history.
And so here you are now, we're in 2016, we're heading to 2017. And so now you're helping people to really get out there to be the good news themselves, aren't you? So what is it that you help them with? So just run through what it is that you can help people to do if they want to find themselves, I guess, is what they can do with your program.
Yeah, so I really believe, and you heard me saying this before, but I really believe this. I think the world is this huge puzzle, and of course it's not perfect. And so many of us are complaining that this is not working, that is not working. And other people are playing the blame game. Is the government's fault, is the family's fault, is my husband, my wife, my children, everybody is guilty for you not being happy. So to me, this big puzzle, which is the world, is made of small pieces. And each piece is a masterpiece, of course, except for the missing pieces. So I think that each one of us brings something to the table. And as you know, I like to say that I can help people bring their own table, not only something. But I help people turn themselves from the missing piece into the masterpiece. Because you have to distance yourself. When you look at the painting and you are too close, it's like you are smelling the painting instead of seeing the bigger picture. So I think this is what I was doing before. I was too close, too almost like inside the picture. I couldn't see myself. I couldn't distance myself from who I was, from my own life, to see the bigger picture, to see that I'm part of a bigger than life picture, and that's the world. And together we are making what we call our world. So I think that moment when you have to dehypnotize yourself from your doing list and grow into the person who can deliver your life purpose. That moment when you realize that aligning your actions with your values, with your beliefs is not enough. And unless you bring your emotion, and you make that cocktail, that magic cocktail, that miracle called yourself, and you put your name on it, is when you contribute to the world. So back in 2012, when I was asked to speak and I had no idea what to say, what brought me from that freezing moment, frozen moment, into speaking again, I realized that these people are waiting for me to say something that they could benefit. I realized that I'm not speaking for myself. I'm there to say something that they can take away and change their own life. And the story of the Greek soldier who travels from Marathon to Athens thousands of years ago comes to mind. I feel I'm that Greek soldier, the soldier that is carrying a message for somebody who is waiting for. And yes, the soldier was wounded, and yes, I was wounded. But if I manage to deliver the message to one person, to deliver that message they've been waiting for, I'm happy. And that's something nobody can take away from me or from you. So delivering that message, which is a very simple message, is almost like, is that a message? Yes, it is a message. The message is the war is over. The war on yourself is over. You have to embrace your truth. You have to accept yourself for who you are, because you are so awesome. And you certainly don't need to wait for the perfect moment to make something of a difference or a significant difference. You can take this moment and make it significant. You can take yourself exactly how you are and turn yourself into the masterpiece. And nobody can be you. So if you are listening and you are waiting out there for somebody to come along and validate your dream and tell you, yes, go for it, you might be waiting for a very long time. Maybe this lifetime is not long enough for somebody to come along, knock on your door and tell you, go for it. You have to find the strength to carry your own message for somebody who needs that message more than you could even imagine, all by yourself. And could be a very lonely journey, but is it painful? Yes, very painful. Is it worth it? Absolutely, yes. So it's not about me, it's not about anyone else, it's about you. And it's about you becoming the person who can deliver their life purpose. I think there are not two ways about this. You can't pay somebody to do it for you. You have to be. You have to be who you truly are.
That's beautiful, Marina. Thank you. You're so right. I think the benefit that other people have is that, yes, of course, it's down to every single one individual to make that decision. But what I think is great is that you have created a system, a program to be able to help people to get out there and be the news. Because you're right, nobody's ever going to be right. Nobody's ever going to be the right time. Nobody's ever going to be perfect and finished, because we're here to travel through life to experience what we're experiencing. And that can be pain, and that can be gain, and it can be pleasure, and it can be happiness, and it can be sadness. It can be all of those emotions. But what I do think is absolutely amazing is that, and I have a saying, and that is that if one person says to you, because of you, I didn't give up, then I think that that is the true word of inspiration. And for me, my friend, that one person would be you.
I don't have words to say how grateful I am for you being in my life. And at that moment when I was about to give up, because I was trying so hard to find a way to create a platform from where people who wrote a book could be heard. I think authoring books is not about being Shakespeare. It's about creating your legacy and helping other people along the way. But unless you have a platform from where you could be heard, unless you have a platform from where you could be seen, unless you have a platform from where you could be present, it's a bit of a defeating game. So I wanted to help all the authors I've been helping writing their books and getting their title and the subtitle, all that, who went through the process, because a very painful process. You cannot go back to who you were before. Once you write a book, that's it. There is no looking back. But it's also no way of moving on. You feel stuck in between two worlds, the transactional world you belonged to before and the transformational world where you are in right now. So what I wanted was really I realized that what I have, the system I have, is just that what I create is nothing. Is just small hinges to open huge doors. Because this is all you need. You need a template. You need some sort of technical, specialized items to open those doors. And I don't want people to come back to me and buy more products, or I want to partner with them. Once they enter into this world of great ideas, once they become a farmer, a genius farmers, joining our family of W.O.R.K.S world, once they author their book, they could have an authoring session, autographing session. And once they went through all that, they could be walking on a red carpet and have that experience. Because everything can be taken away from you. If you look at what's happening in the world, it's always something that you never thought about. So it's political conflict, is social injustice, is poverty, that natural elements, you name it. And everything could be taken away from you anytime. But one thing that nobody ever could take away from you are your experiences. And making yourself available to great experiences, to moments that are once in a lifetime kind of moments, is what makes you strong. It's what makes you walk tall and proud of who you are, and what makes you understand your true worth. So I wanted to create all of that. And how crazy is that? Because who was to listen to me, if any, would have said, you lost it. You just leave me alone. But when I was about to give up and think I failed, you came along and you asked me, what are you to next? But for me, that was an eureka moment. It was the moment when I realized that I don't need validation from anyone, because you, Cheryl Chapman, my God, you are asking me where I'm going next, which means you believe in me, which means I could go anywhere. I could go where the eagle's there, and I will make it. And that is what you did for me. And I know some people think it's just a question, but the true discovery into your own mind, into your own heart, starts when you ask yourself the right questions. And you taught me to ask myself the right question. And it wasn't, how are you going to get there? It was, where are you going next? Where are you going next? And on that day, I wrote down, I still have that piece of paper somewhere. I'm going to give it to you, actually. I wrote down, turn the how into the wow. Because for me it was, wow, that means I could go there. I could go there right now. I could create that platform. I could launch that glossy magazine for authors by authors, which is called The Quantum of Light. I could have the radio show where I have a radio face, so I couldn't go any further than that. So I could create that radio show where people are interviews and they share their big ideas, because we are all farmers, genius farmers. We plant big ideas and we have to nurture them. So I could do all that without asking permission from anyone. So that's why now we have my product, if you want, is called Wow Books, where people have a discovery session with me. And we establish the book title, the subtitle to start with. So we start with the end in mind. So they won't feel stuck at any point during their journey. Because imagine if Laurie Murphy wasn't to call my son. I don't believe in accidents, but let's say by accident, I answered the call. That book would still be in a drawer. I would never think about it again. And I would always feel like a failure. But when she made that call, I think it was a divine call. Something, somewhere, somebody wanted me to make it happen. And now I'm somebody who wants you to make it happen. I want you to become the miracle you've been waiting for. There are no accidents. And I think when I met you was the moment, the wow moment of my life. And this is why my students, my clients, their books are wow books. And turning the how into the wow is just the beginning. And together we travel far, and I really don't know how far, but I know the upcoming red carpet events. We have 9 red carpet events this coming year for different countries from around the world, from authors who are brave enough to share their passion and create that map for others to go from where they are to where they want to be. It's all about the wow. It's all about the wow experience, that experience that nobody can take away from you, no matter what. And if that means we have to work during Christmas times or during New Year's Eve, or to put together our red carpet event for next year, so be it. I don't get tired. I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I feel that we have a divine job to help others to be seen, to be heard, and to be present.
And I think on that note, Marina Nani, I think that the message is as good as any Queen's message. You're looking beautiful and regal. And I want to say on behalf of all the people at Radio Works World, if I may be so humble as to speak for them, I'm so glad that you got that book out of your drawer and you didn't keep it hidden. It's exciting times for 2017. 2016 has already been freaking awesome. You're awesome, and we all look forward to connecting with you in 2017 and being the news together. So thank you very much, and I will speak to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.